You've been told that your problem is laziness, that you're changing too slowly, that something is wrong with you because you keep slipping back into old habits. But what if your growth was never slow at all? And the only thing wrong is the frequency you're tuning into. You're not behind, you're just still synced to an old self that your future is begging you to outgrow. Think about an average day in your life. You're commuting through the city, scrolling on your phone between emails, glancing at everyone who seems to be moving faster, doing more, becoming more. New York, LA. It doesn't matter, the skyline is different, but the story is the same. You tell yourself, I should be further along by now. Why am I still like this? And every time you think that, it lands in your body like proof that you're behind. But what if that feeling isn't proof of anything except the way you're measuring yourself? Here's what most people never question. They compare their current self to a fantasy version of who they think they should already be, while secretly judging themselves from the frequency of the person they used to be. It's like judging today's you with yesterday's rules. No matter how much you grow, it will never feel like enough, because the measuring stick is rigged. In the quantum field, there isn't just one you. There are countless versions of you, each sitting on a different timeline, each broadcasting at a different frequency. There is the you who stays small and safe, the you who burns out proving your worth, and the you who has already relaxed into the life you say you want. All of those versions exist as possibilities. The question isn't, are you changing fast enough? The real question is, which version of you are you using as your reference point? Most people don't realize this. They think they're evaluating their progress from a neutral place. But inside, they're still tuned to the old identity that was built in survival, proving, performing, hustling. That old self only knows one language, not enough yet. Try harder. Fix yourself. If you measure your evolution through that lens, of course it feels slow. Of course you feel like you're failing. The frequency you're using is outdated. You're not slow. You're outdated in your measurement. Think about it. A year ago, the way you coped with stress, the way you spoke to yourself, the way you reacted when something went wrong, that version of you might already be gone. You might handle things with a little more softness now, a little more awareness, a little more choice. But because the outer picture hasn't completely flipped yet, because the job, the relationship, the bank account haven't fully caught up, you tell yourself nothing has changed. That's not truth. That's an old timeline trying to stay in control. The old identity will always frame your progress as too little, too late, because it's terrified of becoming irrelevant. It will zoom in on every slip, every wobble, every human moment, and use it as evidence that you're stuck. It never shows you the full picture. It never counts the tiny shifts, the argument you didn't start, the boundary you finally set, the night you chose rest over self-punishment. But in the language of the quantum, those small shifts are massive changes in frequency. Here's the kicker. The part of you that says, I'm changing so slowly, often can't actually see how much you've already shifted, because it wasn't built to notice growth. It was built to scan for danger. It's like asking a smoke alarm to appreciate a sunrise. Wrong tool, wrong job. So what happens when you keep using that alarm system to measure your evolution? You live in a loop. Every stretch, every risk, every moment of courage gets filtered through an old narrative. Still not enough. Still the same person. Still behind. You start to believe that story more than your lived experience, and then you call that story reality. But reality is not just what you see out there. It's the frame you're looking through in here. So pause with me for a moment. If you stopped comparing yourself to the most hyper-productive, punishment-driven version of your past, would your growth still feel slow if you measured from the you who used to numb out, self-sabotage, or shrink in every room? Would you still say nothing has changed? Which version of you are you measuring your speed from? Most people try to become their new self the same way they've done everything else in life, by grinding. More discipline, more routines, more hacks. And when it doesn't work fast enough, they blame their willpower, their focus, their motivation. But in the quantum field, change doesn't respond to how hard you push. It responds to the state you're broadcasting. Think of identity as a frequency, not a personality trait. The old you is one station on the dial. The new you isn't a goal you chase, it's another station that is already transmitting. When you say you want to change, what you're really saying is, I'm ready to tune into a different signal. But here's the problem, most people are still turning the dial with the energy of the old station. They're using the frequency of pressure to try to reach the frequency of peace. Let's use something simple. Imagine an old school radio in a New York apartment. The city is loud outside. Sirens, traffic, people shouting. You're twisting the dial, trying to find a jazz station. But the radio is stuck between channels. No matter how aggressively you twist the knob, you just get static. That's what happens when you try to work your way into a new identity without changing your internal state. If the radio is tuned to the wrong frequency, it doesn't matter how sincere you are. It doesn't matter how badly you want the music. It doesn't matter how long you sit there, eyes closed, visualizing the song, until the dial lines up with the right station. All you're going to hear is noise. That's what a misaligned transformation feels like, effort without embodiment in your life. This looks like forcing yourself into habits that don't feel like you yet. Forcing yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. To always think positive. To take massive action while a part of you is still terrified, doubtful, exhausted. On the surface, it looks like dedication. On an energetic level, it's friction. Forcing is friction. And in the quantum world, friction doesn't speed you up. It slows the signal down. When your body is tense, your nervous system is in survival. Your thoughts are laced with self-judgment. The field reads that as your true broadcast, even if your words say you're ready for more. You're asking for expansion while vibrating in contraction. The result is delay, confusion, almost breakthroughs that never quite land. Think about a time you were truly in a different state, not because you tried to be, but because something inside you clicked. Maybe you felt unexpectedly calm in a situation that used to trigger you. Maybe you chose rest instead of self-punishment, and it felt strangely natural. The action looked small from the outside, but the frequency was completely different. That's identity level change. The behavior is just the echo. This is why working harder doesn't necessarily shift you faster. If you stay in the same state, self-critical, rushed, unsafe, even your good habits are built on top of an old vibration. It's like building a new house on a cracked foundation. You can paint the walls a new color, but eventually the structure will wobble, and you'll call it self-sabotage. It's not sabotage, it's misalignment. So what actually creates the frequency of the new you, your state? The way your body feels in a room, the quality of your breath, the story you tell yourself when no one is watching, the tiny choices that say, I'm safe to grow now, instead of, I must change or I'm not enough. When state shifts, identity can land. When identity shifts, behavior follows naturally. The jazz station doesn't appear because you twist the dial harder. It appears when the dial finally lines up with where the signal has always been. Your new self works the same way. It's not something you manufacture through force. It's something you tune into through coherence. And here's the kicker. The frequency of your new self isn't created by your effort. Have you ever noticed how change seems to come in waves? You have a powerful week. You're on top of your habits. You're thinking differently. You feel like, okay, this time it's real. And then, almost out of nowhere, you crash. You stop doing the things that felt so good. You spiral. You scroll. You call yourself lazy. You wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just stay consistent? It looks like progress, then regression. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But what if that regression isn't failure at all? What if it's your old frequency pulling at your ankles like an undertow? Imagine you're standing in the ocean at a California beach after work. You've finally given yourself permission to step away from your laptop, from Slack, from the endless notifications. A big wave comes in and lifts you up. You feel light, almost weightless, like the water is carrying you somewhere new. That's what your growth spurts feel like. But then, as the wave recedes, you feel the water rushing back out, dragging the sand from under your feet, pulling you toward the deep. That backward pull is subtle but powerful. That's the frequency undertow. In your inner world, the undertow is your old identity. It's the version of you that learned how to survive by staying small, staying busy, staying in control. When you start changing, when you raise your standards, it's set boundaries. Speak your truth. That old identity doesn't just disappear, it pushes back. That pushback is what I call identity backlash. Identity backlash isn't your mind being broken. It's your subconscious trying to keep you in what it believes is safe. For years, maybe decades, it built entire patterns around a certain way of being: the overachiever, the fixer, the people pleaser, the one who never makes waves. Those roles were wired into your nervous system as protection. So when you start acting like someone who rests, who receives, who says no, your system doesn't immediately celebrate. It panics. Think about the last time you made a big decision in your career. Maybe you finally applied for a role that felt slightly out of reach, or you raised your rates, or you told your manager in that glass office in Manhattan, this workload isn't sustainable. For a few days, you felt powerful, clear, aligned. Then suddenly brain fog, self-doubt, overthinking at 2 a.m. You convince yourself you were being dramatic. You consider shrinking your request, taking it back, going back to being easy. On the surface, it looks like you changed your mind. On a deeper level, it's your old identity trying to pull you back to the timeline where you don't rock the boat. Here's the paradox: most people never see the more you stretch into a new self, the louder the old self can get at first. Not because you're failing, but because the subconscious is testing. Are we really doing this? Is it actually safe to be this version of us? That's why the backlash often shows up right after a breakthrough. The wave lifts you, then the undertow checks how serious you are. In the quantum field, your patterns are like grooves. The longer you've lived inside a certain story, I have to prove myself. I always mess it up. I can't trust good things. The deeper that groove becomes. Even when you intellectually choose a new story, your body is still magnetized to the old one. It pulls you back toward familiar feelings: stress, chaos, drama, scarcity. Not because they feel good, but because they feel known. And to the survival brain, known often feels safer than free. So you have a week where you're meditating, journaling, showing up differently at work, actually closing the laptop at 6 p.m. A new groove begins to form. But then one email, one comment, one unexpected bill hits, and your system snaps back to the old pattern: overwork, worry, self-blame. You call it falling off track. The quantum just calls it momentum of the old frequency. This is why beating yourself up after a setback is so cruel and so ineffective. The moment identity backlash kicks in, you don't need more shame. You need understanding. You need to recognize, oh, this is the undertow. This is my old vibration trying to reclaim me. From that awareness, you can choose again, instead of collapsing into the old storyline. So let me ask you this. Honestly, how many times have you decided you were lazy, weak, or inconsistent, when in truth you were just being pulled back into the familiar safety of your old frequency? We've been taught that change starts in the mind. New thoughts, new beliefs, new mindset. But if that were the whole story, you'd already be living in a completely different reality. Because you've consumed enough information to rewrite your life 10 times over. The truth is, your mind can decide to change in a single moment, but your body needs time to catch up. And in the quantum field, the body is not an afterthought. It's the broadcast tower. Your nervous system is the part of you that quietly decides we're safe or we're under threat. That signal shapes your state long before your conscious mind ever forms a thought. When your body is in survival, tight chest, shallow breath, clenched jaw, it doesn't matter how many affirmations you repeat. The field doesn't just listen to your words, it listens to your coherence. If your mind is saying, "I'm ready for expansion," while your body is bracing for impact, the signal is mixed, and mixed signals collapse into mixed results. This is why trying to think your way into a new timeline so often fails. Your subconscious doesn't speak English. It speaks sensation. It speaks pattern. It speaks in the rhythm of your breath, the tension in your shoulders, the way you flinch when you open your banking app or your email. Those somatic patterns are like grooves in the quantum field until they begin to soften. Your reality tends to loop, no matter how inspired your thoughts are. Your body changes long before your life does. You feel it in tiny, almost invisible ways. The first time you receive feedback at work and your stomach doesn't drop. The first time you see someone else succeed on Instagram and your chest stays open instead of tightening in comparison. The first time you close your laptop at 6 p.m. and your muscles don't buzz with guilt. Nothing dramatic has happened yet in the outer world, but the inner frequency has already shifted. Your body has begun to trust a new baseline. Think about how different your choices are when you feel safe versus when you feel tense. When your system feels safe, it's easier to send the email, set the boundary, ask for the raise, or leave the relationship that's dimming your light. Courage doesn't feel like a war. It feels like a clear next step. But when your system is locked in stress, even simple actions feel impossible. You overthink. You freeze. You run back to familiar habits, not because you're weak, but because your body is trying to pull you back to what it knows it can survive. In a coherent state, your heart, your brain, and your breath move in the same direction. Your thoughts aren't fighting your emotions. Your emotions aren't fighting your actions. There's a quiet yes running through your whole system. From the outside, it looks like ease or confidence. From the inside, it feels like spaciousness, like there's more room in your chest for your own life. So what does alignment actually feel like? It often isn't fireworks. It's the way your shoulders drop 3 centimeters when you decide to choose yourself. It's the deeper breath you take before you speak in a meeting. It's the softness in your face when you look in the mirror and, for just a second, you don't attack what you see. Those are not small things. Those are shifts in your embodied frequency. The quantum field reads those shifts as a new instruction. This is why the path of least resistance is not about doing less. It's about regulating first, acting from there. When you start with the body, when you let your nervous system experience safety, presence, and enoughness, your mind doesn't have to drag you into a new reality. It simply follows where the body has already begun to go. And from that place, a change is no longer a fight. It becomes a natural consequence of who you're finally allowing yourself to be. One of the biggest reasons you think you're not changing is because you're looking for fireworks. You're expecting a movie moment, a dramatic before and after, some big external proof that says, yes, now you're different. But in the quantum field, real progress is usually quiet. It shows up first as microsignals, tiny shifts in your frequency that are easy to miss if you're only watching the surface of your life. So let's name some of those signals, so you can actually recognize how far you've already come. The first sign is this: you don't react as fast as you used to. The trigger is still there, the email, the text, the comment, the bill, but there's a gap now, a breath, a split second where you notice, I'm about to spiral, and sometimes you choose differently. That gap is not nothing. That gap is quantum. It's the space where a new timeline can slip in. The second sign, you're a little less obsessed with proving yourself. Maybe you still care what people think, but you catch yourself mid-scroll, mid-comparison, and instead of diving into the shame hole for 3 hours, you close the app, or you see someone winning and, for a moment, you actually feel inspired instead of threatened. The old you needed validation to feel real. The new frequency is starting to feel real from within. The third sign, your choices are softer, but somehow stronger. You start choosing the option that feels clean rather than the option that looks impressive. You leave the party earlier because your energy matters more than being seen. You say no without writing a 3-paragraph apology. From the outside, it doesn't look dramatic. Inside, it's a radical realignment of who you believe you're allowed to be. The fourth sign is in your self-talk. Pay attention to the voice in your head when you mess up, forget something, or fall back into an old pattern. If there's even a slight increase in kindness, if you hear yourself saying, okay, that happened, but I'm still growing. Instead of, you always do this, you're hopeless. That's a massive frequency shift. The quantum field registers that as a change in your identity, not just your mood. The fifth sign, your nervous system recovers faster. You still get anxious, you still have off days, but you don't live there as long. The dip is shorter. You reach for tools instead of distractions. You go for a walk. You breathe. You journal. You call a friend who actually gets it. You're no longer drowning for weeks in the same story. You touch the bottom, push off, and come back up sooner. That resilience is one of the clearest indicators that your internal frequency is stabilizing at a new level. The sixth sign, things that used to feel normal now feel off. Certain conversations, environments, or dynamics that you used to tolerate without question now feel heavy, noisy, or out of tune. It's not that the world suddenly got worse, it's that your system is calibrated differently. You're becoming more sensitive to misalignment, not because you're fragile, but because you're more honest about what actually matches your soul. And finally, a seventh sign, you have moments, sometimes only seconds, where you catch a glimpse of yourself and think, oh, I'm not the same person I was a year ago, not because your life looks wildly different yet, but because you can feel a deeper steadiness inside, a different relationship with time, a quieter kind of trust. Those moments are easy to dismiss and move past. Don't. Those are your new timeline waving at you. Progress rarely has fireworks. Most of the time, it feels like a series of almost imperceptible pivots, one breath, one choice, one thought at a time. But in the language of the quantum, those are not small movements. They are the way a wave collapses into a new reality. So before you tell yourself you're behind, pause and look again. How many of these micro signals are already present in your life? And if you were willing to count them as real evidence, how different would your story about yourself already be? So if alignment isn't about forcing, and it isn't about chasing, what is it actually about in your day-to-day life? How do you tune into the frequency of the new you in a way that feels real, not performative? Let's make this simple. Alignment is less about adding new things and more about changing the quality of how you move through what's already here. It shows up in your breath, your posture, your tiny choices, and the way you hold your emotions when they rise. These are the levers that quietly shift your frequency. Start with your breath. Your breath is the most immediate signal you send to your nervous system. When you're in the old timeline, stressed, rushing, proving your breath is usually shallow, tight, high in your chest. When you're in the frequency of the new you, the one who trusts, who isn't chasing, your breath naturally deepens. You don't need a 30-minute ritual. You just need to pause, even for 10 seconds, and breathe as if you were already safe, already supported, already on time. That as if is not pretending. It's rehearsal for a new identity. Next, look at your posture. The body posture of survival is collapsed or rigid, shoulders hunched forward or locked up around your ears. Jaw clenched, eyes slightly narrowed, always bracing. The posture of the new you is not exaggerated confidence, it's openness. Shoulders gently back, heart not armored, neck elongated as if you're giving your lungs more sky. Try this right now. Adjust your posture into the shape of someone who isn't behind. Someone who isn't defending themselves against life. Notice how different the same room feels from that place. Before your life looks different, your body has to inhabit it. Then, there are micro-choices. The version of you you're becoming doesn't just show up in big, cinematic decisions. It shows up in what you do with the next 5 minutes. Do you pick up your phone to numb out? Or do you give yourself one conscious breath first? Do you reply to that email from panic? Or do you take a moment to remember your worth and respond from clarity? Do you say yes automatically, Pert? Or do you pause long enough to feel what you actually want? You don't need to become the new you in one leap. You just need to start choosing like someone who already is. Emotional regulation is another doorway. The old frequency either suppresses or explodes. It shoves feelings down until they leak out sideways, or it lets them hijack every choice. The new frequency doesn't bypass emotion, it holds it. When fear or shame rises, instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this?" you begin asking, "How can I stay with myself while this moves through?" That one shift from fixing the feeling to accompanying the feeling changes the signal you're sending. You stop telling the quantum field, "I'm not okay until this is gone," and start broadcasting, "I can stay present with myself, even here." That's a different timeline. None of this has to be rigid. You don't need a perfect morning routine, a flawless checklist, or a color-coded quantum planner. What you need is a handful of small, repeatable ways to come back into coherence: a deeper breath, an open posture, a kinder thought, a softer choice. Over time, those become the default setting of your system. And when your default state changes, your reality cannot help but rearrange around it. So here's the invitation: instead of asking, "How do I become the new me?" ask, "If I were already aligned with that version, what would I do with this exact moment? Not tomorrow, not when you finally have the money, the partner, the clarity. Right now, in this very breath, in this very body, in this very room. What would the version of you who is already tuned to that higher frequency choose? Here and now. And how close can you let yourself move toward that choice today?" Take a breath with me for a moment. Feel everything we've talked about not just as ideas, but as something moving quietly inside your own life. The patterns, the setbacks, the tiny shifts in your body, the micro-choices, the new signals you've started to send into the field. None of that is random. It is the rhythm of a self that is slowly, stubbornly being reborn. You were never meant to sprint your way into a new timeline. Rebirth doesn't move at the speed of your impatience. It moves at the speed of integration. From the outside, it might still look messy, inconsistent, unfinished. But from the inside, something very precise is happening. An old frequency is dissolving while a new one stabilizes. You're not failing because it's taking time. You're honoring what it actually takes to become someone you've never been before. So the next time your mind tells you, "I'm too slow, I should be further along," I want you to remember this. Your life is not a race against anyone else's timeline. It's a continuous act of tuning your breath, tuning your choices, tuning the way you hold yourself in the middle of uncertainty. You're not late, you're tuning. And if any part of this video made you feel even 1% more on frequency with the version of you you're becoming, I'd love to hear it. In the comments, leave just one word that captures how you're choosing to tune from here. Maybe it's trust, softness, courage, or something only you can name. That word is more than a comment. It's your next signal to the field.